Hello, whistleblowers everywhere. Looks like summer's over here. It looks like it's all gone. It's wet, it's miserable, and it's not very warm. We had a couple of days of really nice warm summer weather, but unfortunately, it looks like our summer has retreated for somewhat for now anyway. Never mind. We can brighten our day up by playing this lovely tune called The Cat's Meow. It's a Joanie Madden composition. Apparently it was her first composition, and she wrote it I think when she was 16. So yeah, it's a lovely tune, a lovely jolly jig. So yeah, let's have a play through it. Now it's in two parts, but the second half is really just a variation of the first half. But we'll look at both, and we'll look at the variation that we can put in. But as I said, this is the first part. We'll do this, and then we'll do the second part, which is, like I said, just a variation of the first part. But there's some nice little variations, rhythmic variations, ornaments, variations, just various different sort of things to sort of liven it up a bit. It's a lovely tune, and Joanie Madden wrote an absolute cracker with this one. So let's have a play through, nice and steady. No ornaments, we're just going to separate notes which are the same with cuts. Now there's probably not going to be too many of them, so we're just going to play through. Let's do it at 60, which is our usual sort of slow and steady pace, and have a look at what we can do regarding the breathing first of all. So we'll go part by part. So there's 1, 2 and 3, A, B and C. So we'll have a look at part A to start with. Okay, let's play through the whole of the first part of the Cat's Meow. So each part is played twice. So it's A, A, B, B, C, C. So let's play through at 60, just nice and steady. I'm not going to include any ornaments. We're just going to play the basic tune. So here we go. 1, 2. Oh, now we've got the basic tune under our fingers. Let's have a look at some ornamentation. So if you look on the music, we've got some little symbols. They're sort of like a little squiggle. So that's the symbol we're going to use for a long roll. So let's just have a look at the long rolls that we've got in this piece. So we've got the first one in the first bar, which is a long roll on an F. So we're going to play the F, cut the F, and then tap. And for now, we're going to keep the rolls nice and even. So what I'm doing with my articulation, and it's entirely up to you if you want to use the same or you want to use your own. I like to tongue that roll. So I'm tonguing the first note and then tonguing the F roll. So I'm going. When I'm nodding my head, that's a tongue. Okay, so after that, I'm going to put a cut on that high A. So those two bars together. So after that, D's a good place to put a little breath in there. You may not need to when you're playing at a speed, but for now we'll put a little breath in there. So then we've got in the last bar, we've got that E roll. So same thing, note, cut, tap underneath. And again, I'm going to tongue that roll. Now you can play it without. But for me, I prefer it because it gives it a cleaner articulation. Okay, so the other thing we've got that in third bar, yeah? So we've got the rolls in the second line again. First bar, same as the first bar in the first line. So let's just play through really slowly. Now I'm tonguing that little da-da-da, that little figure there in bar 3. You don't have to, but for me it just makes it a bit easier. Okay, so I'm also putting a cut on the F sharp in the third bar of the second line. I'm going. And again, I like to tongue those cuts, just gives it a bit more clarity for me. So let's play that through again. Okay, so that's the first A part. Let's play through the B part now. So we've got long roll on the A. And again, if you want to use the C sharp. Both work absolutely fine. So again, you choose which one you would like to use in terms of which finger you're going to cut with for the long roll on the A. So let's have a look at the start of the B part again. So we've got the long roll on the A. So I'm putting two cuts in on the high Gs. Cut the first one, cutting the second one. Let's try that again. So line 3. So the next two bars on line 4, same as the first, very similar apart from the ending. So on bar 3 of the first line, third line, and I'm going to do the same thing again with the G's. I'm going to cut them. Okay, so let's try that B section all the way through. So with it being pretty much all running quavers or eighth notes, when you're playing it, you might need to sacrifice one of the rolls in order to get a breath. So if I play it at a reasonable speed, I'll show you what I mean. But if you think that's too much of a gap, what you can do is you can put a little gap in and repeat the A. So you could do this. That way, you're only dropping an eighth note. However, you can do it both ways. They both work. You can go. Or. So that's the B part. Let's have a look now at the C part. So we've got high A rolls, high G rolls, and high F rolls, which are repeated. So the A roll, and again, if you want to cut with your top finger, or this finger. G roll, F roll, so A roll, G roll, F roll. Okay, so let's play through what we can do. And again, what we might need to do is to somehow change an ornament like we did in the B part with that A. We might have to do that again because there's not that many places to grab a breath otherwise. So here we go. Cutting those high A's as well because it's a nice sort of, and I'm tonguing and cutting those just to give it a real sort of push. Now you can do it without the tongue, but I prefer the tongue, so it's up to you. You can either tongue those cuts or just leave them as breath and then cut. So that's the first two bars. Then we've got a repetition of the rhythm but different notes. So that's a lovely little repetition of that figure. Okay, so now we've got long roll, long roll, long roll. So there, we might need to make some adjustment because we've got to get our breath in. So So there, I substituted the long roll on the G and did a quaver or an eighth note, took a breath, and then repeated it. So that figure. Now, if you're playing it at a quicker speed, you might be able to get away with it all. So there, I can just take a breath at the end of that long D at the end. But if you're playing it slower, you might need to adjust some of the ornamentation. Okay, so let's play it through at 60 with the ornaments now. 2, 1, 2. So if you're struggling to get to the end where I change the long roll to 2 separate Gs, we can make changes on the fly. So we could do this. Yeah. So I'm dropping that F sharp in the middle of that, and that's all right to do that because it's not a strong note. So if you can get to the G, then you can do and both will sound fine and both absolutely acceptable. Okay, so that's our first half of the Cat's Meow. Let's have a look at the second half now, which is just really a variation. We've still got A, B and C, but we're going to call them A1, B1, or sorry, A2, B2 and C2. Well, just like we did with the first part, the second variation part, we have A, B, B, C, C, but we're going to call it A2, B2 and C2 because it's just a variation of that. So I'm going to play it through without any ornaments just so you can get a sound of what we're doing here. Then we'll look at the ornamentation. 1, 2. So we're going to use the same rolls, the same cuts, the same taps, and the same ornamentation. We're just going to repeat it. However, we're going to add a few additional cuts for accenting certain beats. So let's start straight away with a cut. So we've got the cut on the F, long roll on the high F. I'm cutting that high note as the high A in the second bar. Now we've got a long roll on the B. Note, cut with a C sharp, tap underneath. In order to get separation, we're going to cut that B in the third bar, first group of three quavers, second group of three quavers, sorry. So that first line. So it's repeating on the second line, same as the first bar. Getting the high A cut. There I'm cutting the F sharp. And I'm cutting that first A in the first time bar. I'm going to repeat it. So let's have a go with the ornaments now of the first line of part 2. So if you noticed on the second bar of the second line, I went, I missed out a note, missed out the B, need to get a breath. So So what I'm going to do on the second time bar, I'm going to miss out that little pickup note E, and I'm going to sacrifice that note for a breath. So when you come to play the next section, yeah, I'm going to miss out that and just come straight in with the third line F sharp. So I'm using that note as a breathing space. Okay, let's have a look at B2 now. Now you can put some cuts on the A if you want. And I'm going to cut that high A as well. So yeah, then we've got the long roll on the G. So again, note, cut, tap for the roll, then we're going to cut to get the separate G in the second group of 3. Okay, then let's come on with a cut on the high F. Yeah. I'm going to tongue cut that high A. and again cuts to separate the two E's. So B2. So that's with the added cuts and long rolls. Okay, so we've got another figure in C2. So what we can do as a nice way of separating the A's, so I'm cutting to separate that second F from the first. And then I'm tapping the second A and cutting the first A in the second bar, so slowly. It's just nice to get a different way of separating. I mean, you can, of course, tongue them. You could go. But I think it's more interesting to mix up the cuts and the taps as a way of separating. So we can go. Let's look at that again. Once again. Okay, so the last part, we're nearly there, folks. So what I've got here, short roll the F, short roll the G. And what I like to do is I like to give it a bit of a push. I'm tonguing the short roll on the F, tonguing the short roll on the G. And then on the next bar, I'm going up to the high A with a cut. So short rolls, cut, tap, yeah? Long roll, no cut, tap. Short roll, immediately cut, then tap. So let's play. Excuse me. So we've got a cut on the G. Okay, so let's go and play that C2 section. And so again, because we needed to breathe, I sacrificed the roll on the G, short roll. Yeah, I just did a cut, took a breath. So you may have to do that. It's all about adapting what's written to make it suit your breathing. what I did there is I took a breath and dropped a note in the last bar on the 5th line. Yep, so that way I could get the rolls, short rolls in the last bit. So it's all a matter of what you want to include and what you want to sacrifice for a breath. And it's good to maybe not do the same thing. So you could do this the first time. Second time. So I changed it up, and it's always nice to sort of add a little bit more interest rather than breathing in the same place every single time, which you may do with certain tunes, but with this one it's nice to sort of break it up a bit. Okay, so let's play through the B part, sorry, the second half. So we're going to do A2 repeated, B2 repeated, and C2 repeated. So here we go. I'm going to do it 60 again. So 1, 2. Okay, so we've done A, B, C, A2, B2, C2. Let's put it all together now and play the whole thing all the way through. So I've set my click to 80, which is 20 beats faster than 60, so it's a bit quicker, but this will show you how it works at a quicker tempo. So 1, 2, 1. So there's lots of other things you can do with this tune. Lots of other variations you can put in. I mean, what I like to do is I like to put some staccato tonguing in from time to time. So on that last bit, just putting that sort of staccato teccata triple tongue in. So that's sometimes nice to do. Really, it's all about how you make the tune your own. And this is one of these tunes which I put variations in and change it really how I'm playing it. So. It's also nice to do some long notes rather than doing the sort of long rolls on the high notes. Sometimes what I do is put a little slide in there, which kind of breaks it up and makes it interesting. So I've got those little figures. But really, the sky's the limit. Again, as always, as long as you don't lose sight of the tune, of the melody, then whatever little variations you want to put in, you know, do it. But it's always got to be tasteful. It's always got to be in keeping with the tune itself. So yeah, have fun with this tune. It's a gorgeous little jig that Joanie Madden wrote, and she must have been very inspired to write such a lovely, optimistic, bright jig. Yeah, it's great, lovely. Okay, folks, so that's it. That's the end of this tune breakdown. I've been on a real roll at the moment, so I've got a little bit of time because it's August and a lot of my students are away on holiday, so things are a wee bit quieter. So I'm taking the opportunity to put a few breakdowns, get a few more breakdowns, and some which people have requested previously. I'm sort of working my way through some of these requests, but if you do have any requests for tune breakdowns, or if you do have any questions on tutorials, on technique, anything you're struggling with, then just leave me a comment and I'll get back to you, and hopefully we'll address it in one of the future tutorials or tune breakdowns that we've got planned. Again, please please subscribe if you can. The more subscribers I get, just makes things easier for me, and it means I can devote a bit more time to putting more content up on the Whistleblowers YouTube channel. Wonderful. Okay, it's not such a wonderful day here, unfortunately. It's miserable, it's wet. It's hopefully that's not the end of summer here in Whistleblower HQ on the Lancashire coast. All right, folks, take care. See you soon. Bye for now.